The sensor arrays across the hegemony's outer rim went silent all at once. Not broken, not damaged, just silent, as if something had swallowed every signal in a sphere 3 light-years wide. Torin had served 40 cycles in the Imperial fleet. He knew what silence meant in space. It meant something big enough to bend reality had just arrived. His command center erupted in controlled chaos. Junior officers checked instruments twice, then 3 times. The holographic display showed nothing but empty space, where 17 monitoring stations should be transmitting. Then slowly, like a wound opening in the fabric of space itself, a ship appeared. It was wrong. Everything about it was wrong. The hull reflected light in ways that hurt to look at. The propulsion system left no radiation signature. The ship's geometry violated the fundamental laws of faster-than-light travel that every species in the galaxy had agreed upon for 10,000 years. Analysis, Torin demanded. His scales rippled with unease. Nothing matches our records, Admiral. His science officer's voice carried a tremor. The materials, the energy readings, the mathematical patterns. This ship shouldn't be able to exist. Size, approximately 2,000 units long. Small for deep space exploration. Impossibly large for the technology it appears to use. Torin made a decision. Open all channels. Standard first contact protocols. The communications officer nodded. She began broadcasting the hegemony's welcome message in the 300 languages considered universal throughout known space. The response came in seconds. But it didn't come in 300 languages. It came in 6,000. The computer system screamed as data flooded through every receiver. Ancient dialects that had been dead for millennia. Regional variations of languages most species had forgotten. Mathematical proofs. Musical sequences. Chemical formulas. The message repeated in every possible form of communication, as if the ship wanted to be absolutely certain it was understood. When the computer finally processed it all into something readable, the command center fell silent. This is the exploration vessel Wanderer. We are human. We come in peace. We are very happy to meet you, human. Torin's second officer checked the database. There's no species by that designation. Search deeper. Check the forbidden sectors, more silence. Then quietly, Admiral, there's no record of any sapient life in those regions. The environmental conditions are classified as incompatible with advanced civilization. The ship called Wanderer hung in space, waiting. Its lights blinked in patterns that almost seemed friendly. Torin felt his breath catch. Where did it come from? Track its trajectory backwards. The science officer worked quickly. The holographic display shifted, showing the path the Wanderer had taken through space. It stretched back, further back into regions marked in red on every galactic map. Origin point identified, the officer said. Sector designated Death Zone 12. Specific location. A yellow star system, 3rd planet from its sun. Database designation Sol 3. Every officer in the command center turned to look at Torin. Yellow stars were rare. Yellow stars produced radiation that broke down genetic material. Only the hardiest bacteria could survive near them, and only on worlds with thick atmospheres and magnetic fields strong enough to create protective barriers. Pull the file on Sol 3. The data appeared. Torin read it once, then again, then a 3rd time, certain the computer had made an error. Gravity 1.3 times galactic standard, atmospheric oxygen at 21%, active tectonic plates causing constant seismic activity. Weather systems capable of producing winds that could strip hull plating, an unstable molten core generating a magnetic field strong enough to disrupt sensitive instruments, surface water covering 70% of the planet, hosting organisms that consumed each other in a, never-ending cycle of predation. The planet was rated, Class X, unsurvivable, a place where even automated research stations failed within cycles, and something calling itself human claimed to come from there. Send this to Sanctum immediately, Torin ordered. Priority absolute. The Council needs to see this. Admiral, the ship is moving. Torin's attention snapped back to the display. The Wanderer had begun a slow, gentle acceleration toward populated space. Not aggressive, not fast. Just steady, as if it had all the time in the universe and no particular worry about what might try to stop it. Hail them again. Ask them to hold position until proper diplomatic channels can be established. The message went out. The response came back almost instantly. We appreciate your concern. We've been traveling for a very long time and would love to meet your people. We'll proceed slowly and stay in open space. We have no intention of causing alarm. Is there someone we can talk to about visiting? We brought gifts. Gifts? The creature from the deathworld wanted to give them gifts. Admiral, Sanctum is responding. The communications officer looked pale. The council is convening an emergency session. They're ordering full military observation of the vessel. They want to know if we should consider it a threat. Torin looked at the ship on his display. It seemed so peaceful hanging there among the stars. Its lights blinked in what almost looked like a pattern of greeting. The message it had sent was polite, even warm, but it had come from a world that should have killed anything that tried to live on it. It used technology that shouldn't exist. It spoke languages that were supposed to be lost to time. Tell them I don't know, Torin said quietly. Tell them I honestly don't know. The Wanderer continued its slow journey inward. Behind it, the hegemony's greatest minds scrambled to understand what had just arrived on their doorstep. Somewhere on that impossible ship, humans went about their day. They had no idea that their simple greeting had just triggered the largest existential crisis the galaxy had faced in recorded history. The age of humanity had begun. The galaxy just didn't know it yet. Yenna had spent her entire career studying impossible things. Dead civilizations, extinct species, worlds that had collapsed under their own weight. She thought nothing could surprise her anymore. Then the data from Sol 3 arrived on her workstation. She read it 3 times. Then she ran it through verification protocols designed to catch errors in astronomical surveys. The system confirmed every detail. No mistakes, no corruptions. Just facts that made her question everything she knew about biology. The other scientists in the research complex on Sanctum moved around her like water flowing past a stone. They were analyzing the human ship's hull composition, its power signatures, its communication systems. Important work. Critical work. But Yenna had been assigned something more fundamental. Find out where humans came from. Find out how they existed at all. She pulled up the Galactic Habitability Index. Every world capable of supporting sapient life fell within specific parameters. Temperature ranges, gravity levels, radiation exposure, atmospheric composition. These weren't suggestions. They were physical requirements written into the chemistry of life itself. Sol 3 violated every single one. This can't be right, she muttered, running the calculations again. Problems? Her colleague Breck appeared beside her workstation. He specialized in cultural analysis, usually focused on trade languages and social structures. Now he looked as disturbed as she felt. Look at this. Yenna highlighted the gravity readings. Standard sapient species evolves under 0.7 to 0.9 galactic standard gravity. Anything higher and the energy cost of maintaining a large brain becomes prohibitive. Sol 3 has 1.3 standard. Breck's skin paled to a light gray. That means their muscles have to be significantly denser than ours. Yes, just to stand upright. Their bodies would need to be structurally reinforced in ways we don't see in any other species. Yenna switched displays. But that's not even the worst part. Look at the atmospheric composition. 21% oxygen. Breck read the number twice. That's oxidizer levels. That's what we use in emergency medical procedures to accelerate healing. They breathe that constantly? Their entire planet is basically a slow-burning fire waiting to happen. That oxygen level means anything flammable burns hotter and faster. It also means their metabolisms run at rates that would kill most species through cellular damage. How do they not just burn out? Yenna pulled up more data. They do. Human cellular aging is significantly faster than galactic average. They live maybe 60 to 80 cycles if they're lucky, but their cells regenerate at incredible speeds to compensate. Their immune systems fight constant battles against oxidation damage. They're essentially on fire at a molecular level their entire lives. Breck sat down heavily. What about the radiation? Yellow stars are death traps. Their planet has a magnetic field strong enough to deflect most of it, but not all. The radiation that does get through drives mutation rates higher than anywhere else we've studied. Most of those mutations are fatal. The ones that aren't create incredible genetic diversity. Natural selection on nightmare mode. Exactly. Yenna highlighted another section. And then there's the wildlife. Sol 3 hosts organisms called predators that hunt and consume other organisms for energy. Most sapient species evolved on worlds where energy came from photosynthesis or chemical processing. Humans evolved surrounded by creatures actively trying to eat them. Breck's hands trembled slightly. How did they survive? They became better predators. Yenna pulled up the biological analysis from the ship's database, information the humans had freely shared. Look at their eyes. Forward-facing for depth perception. That's a predator trait. Their teeth include specialized cutting and tearing structures. Their hands have the grip strength to crush certain materials. They're endurance hunters. On their world, they could literally chase prey until it died of exhaustion. They're apex predators that developed sapience. Yes, and here's the truly horrifying part. Yenna showed him the final calculation. In galactic standard gravity, which is what most civilized worlds maintain, humans would be approximately 30% stronger than their baseline. Their bone density alone means a human could fall from heights that would shatter our skeletons and walk away with bruises. Breck stood up abruptly. The council needs to see this, and they already have it. I sent my preliminary report an hour ago. And what was their response? Yenna's display showed a priority message marked with the highest security clearance. She opened it. The message was short. Continue analysis. Determine if humans pose an existential threat to the hegemony. Provide military assessment within 6 hours. Breck read it and made a sound between a laugh and a sob. They want to know if we should be afraid. Shouldn't we be? Yenna pulled up an image from the Wanderer's external cameras. It showed a human standing in one of the ship's observation areas. The creature looked soft. No natural armor, no claws, no obvious weapons. It was smiling at something off camera, its face arranged in an expression that analysis software labeled as contentment. It looked harmless. Friendly, even. But Yenna knew what that creature was now. It was something that had evolved to survive on a world that killed everything else. It had climbed to the top of a food chain built on violence and somehow developed technology, art, and philosophy along the way. They sent us a message saying they brought gifts, Breck said quietly. Cultural analysis suggests genuine friendly intent. Their language patterns indicate excitement and curiosity, not aggression. That almost makes it worse, Yenna replied. They're friendly. They don't seem to understand how dangerous they are. It's like a child playing with a weapon, completely unaware it could destroy everything around it. Across Sanctum, similar conversations were happening. Biologists compared notes. Military strategists ran simulations. Diplomats debated protocols. And slowly, like a sunrise on a death world, the same realization spread through the hegemony's leadership. Humanity was here. They were real. And the galaxy would never be the same. The diplomatic cruiser Unity moved through space like a nervous animal approaching something it didn't understand. Inside, Ambassador Lyra checked her translation implant for the 4th time in an hour. Everything had to be perfect. First contact with a species from beyond the known territories was delicate enough. First contact with something from a death world was unprecedented. Approaching the Wanderer now, the pilot announced. They've sent docking coordinates. Very precise, very polite. Lyra's security detail shifted uncomfortably. 5 trained soldiers, each wearing full protective gear, each carrying weapons that could punch through reinforced hull plating. They looked terrified. Remember, Lyra said, keeping her voice steady. All analysis suggests they're friendly. Just stay alert. The Unity docked with a soft thump. The airlock equalized. Lyra took a breath and stepped through. The interior of the Wanderer was bright, almost painfully bright by hegemony standards. The lighting mimicked the yellow star these creatures came from. Lyra's eyes adjusted slowly. A human waited on the other side. Male, analysis had suggested. Tall by galactic standards, though not unusually so. Wearing a simple blue uniform with various insignias Lyra didn't recognize. His face was mobile and expressive in ways that seemed almost excessive. Ambassador Lyra. The human smiled, showing his teeth. Lyra forced herself not to flinch at the display of what her hindbrain recognized as a predator threat. I'm Reed Davis, captain of the Wanderer. Welcome aboard. We're so excited to meet you, his hand extended. Lyra had studied the gesture. A human greeting involving physical contact. She reached out carefully and touched his palm. His grip was gentle, but she could feel the strength behind it, like touching a power cable that wasn't quite turned on. The warmth of his skin surprised her. Humans ran hot. Another adaptation to their high oxygen environment. Thank you for receiving us, Lyra managed. The hegemony wishes to establish proper diplomatic channels and discuss your presence in our space. Of course, of course. We didn't mean to barge in. We've been traveling for so long. When we finally picked up your signals, we thought we were dreaming. Reed gestured down a corridor. Please come with me. I've prepared some refreshments. The walk through the ship revealed more disturbing details. The corridors were sized for human proportions, which meant Lyra and her team had plenty of room. But the handrails were positioned for beings who could easily reach higher than any hegemony species. The floors had a slight texture that provided grip. Everything was built sturdy and thick. This was a ship designed to handle stress, to survive impacts, to keep going when lesser vessels would fail. They arrived at a meeting room. A table held various items. Reed gestured to them proudly. We weren't sure what would be appropriate, so we brought options. This is coffee. It's a beverage from Earth, very popular with our crew. One of Lyra's security guards scanned the liquid. His face went rigid. Ambassador, this contains significant levels of chemical stimulants, specifically caffeine alkaloids. This would be classified as a controlled substance under hegemony medical protocols. Reed looked confused. Oh, sorry. Is that a problem? We drink it pretty regularly. Helps us stay alert during long shifts. Would you prefer water instead? You consume stimulants recreationally? Lyra asked carefully. Well, I mean, some people drink it for fun. Most of us just need the energy boost. Is that unusual? Lyra exchanged glances with her team. Extremely unusual, Captain. Most species avoid unnecessary chemical stimulation due to the health risks. Huh. Reed looked genuinely puzzled. We've been drinking coffee for thousands of years. Never really thought about it as risky. Anyway, please sit. I'd love to hear about your people. The conversation that followed was educational in the most terrifying way possible. Reed spoke casually about Earth, about how humans enjoyed activities called skiing and surfing that involved deliberately sliding down dangerous slopes or riding waves that could crush them, about how some humans jumped from flying aircraft with fabric parachutes for entertainment, about how nearly every human family kept animals in their homes. What kind of animals? One of the security guards asked, morbidly curious. Oh, all kinds. Dogs are most common. They're descended from wolves, pack hunters. We domesticated them about 15,000 years ago. Great companions, very loyal. Lyra felt her blood chill. You keep predators in your homes, near your young. They're not predators anymore. Well, I mean, technically yes, but they're friendly. My dog Anne back home is the sweetest thing. She loves children. A crew member entered carrying a data pad, female human younger than Reed. She nodded politely to the visitors. Sorry to interrupt, Captain. Just need your signature on the supply manifest. No problem. Reed signed the pad. Oh, Anne, while you're here, do you have those pictures of your dog? Anne's face lit up with an expression of pure joy. She pulled up images on the pad. This is Max. He's a German Shepherd. Isn't he gorgeous? The image showed a creature with sharp teeth, alert eyes, and a body built for running down prey. It sat next to a small human child, both of them appearing completely relaxed. Your offspring is touching it, Lyra said faintly. That's my nephew. Max loves kids. He's very protective of the family. After Anne left, Lyra tried to refocus the conversation. She asked about Earth's environment. Reed described it cheerfully. Violent storms, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, temperature swings that would be considered industrial hazards on civilized worlds. He talked about it all with fondness. With love, even. You describe your homeworld as if it's pleasant, Lyra finally said. It is. I mean, sure, it can be dangerous. But it's beautiful. The mountains, the oceans, the forests. There's nowhere else like it in the universe. Captain, your world is classified as uninhabitable by our standards. Reed paused, really looked at her for the first time. Wait, seriously? What are your standards? When Lyra explained, Reed's expression shifted through confusion to understanding to something that might have been pity. So your worlds don't have weather, or predators, or natural disasters. We engineer our environments to eliminate such dangers. That sounds really boring. The meeting continued for another hour. By the end, Lyra had filled 3 data storage units with observations. She said goodbye to Reed, who remained cheerful and welcoming throughout. Back on the Unity, safely away from the Wanderer, Lyra's security chief approached her. Ambassador, what do we tell the Council? Lyra thought about Reed's easy smile, his casual mention of controlled substances and predators, his complete lack of understanding that he came from hell and thought it was home. "Tell them the truth," she said quietly. "The humans are the friendliest nightmare we've ever encountered." Military strategist Khan had watched the security footage from the Unity encounter 17 times. Each viewing revealed something new, something disturbing, something that kept him awake during his rest cycles. The high command conference room buzzed with tense energy. Screens displayed freeze frames from Ambassador Lyra's visit, biological data, movement analysis, threat assessments that kept coming back with results that seemed impossible. "Show them the tool incident," Khan said to his aide. The main screen shifted to a moment most attendees had missed during their first viewing. Reed Davis and Ambassador Lyra stood talking. Behind them, a crew member worked on a ceiling panel. A heavy wrench slipped from his grasp. The tool fell toward Lyra's head. Fatal impact in under a second. Reed's hand moved. Khan had slowed the footage to 1/10 speed. Even then, the motion was almost too fast to track. Reed's arm crossed the space between himself and the falling tool. His fingers closed around it. He held it for a moment, then gently handed it back to the embarrassed crew member. The whole sequence took less time than it took Lyra to register the danger. "Enhanced analysis," Khan said. Another screen lit up with numbers. That tool weighed approximately 5 standard units. It was falling at terminal velocity for the ship's artificial gravity. The impact force would have been sufficient to crack Ambassador Lyra's skull and cause immediate death. "The human caught it like it was nothing," Admiral Torrin said quietly. He'd been present via communication link during the first contact and had seen the raw feed. "Not nothing. Look at his expression." Khan highlighted Reed's face. He wasn't worried. He was mildly concerned about being rude. He apologized for the interruption afterwards. The room fell silent. "Continue the analysis," High Commander Vren ordered. Her scales had gone dark with stress. Khan pulled up more data. "We've run full biomechanical modeling based on the footage and the information humans freely provided about their biology. The results are consistent across all models." He brought up a comparison chart. On one side, an average hegemony soldier in full combat gear. On the other, a human in casual clothing. In standard galactic gravity, which is 0.75 Earth standard, a human would be approximately 33% stronger than their baseline. Their muscle density is adapted for higher gravity. Their bone structure can handle impacts that would shatter our skeletons. Their reaction times are faster due to their higher metabolic rates. "Weapons?" someone asked. "In unarmed combat, our simulations show that a single average human could defeat 5 trained hegemony soldiers before being overwhelmed. An above-average human or one with military training could potentially handle twice that number." The silence deepened. "They don't know this," Torrin said. "Do they?" "No indication they understand how they compare to us physically. The humans seem to think they're average. They express surprise that we find their world hostile." Vren leaned forward. "What about their technology?" Khan switched displays. "The Wanderer's hull composition uses alloys we can't fully identify. Some kind of carbon fiber matrix bonded at the molecular level. It's lighter than our standard materials, but approximately 4 times stronger. Their power generation uses controlled fusion at efficiency rates exceeding our best reactors by significant margins. Weapon systems? They claim to have none. The Wanderer is designated as an exploration and diplomatic vessel. Do we believe that?" Khan hesitated. "Their cultural analysis suggests humans have a history of warfare. Extensive warfare, but they've apparently moved beyond it in recent centuries. The absence of weapon systems appears genuine. Or they don't need weapon systems because they are the weapons," someone muttered. A new voice joined the discussion. Cultural Minister Breck appeared on a side screen. "I've finished analyzing their entertainment media. The portions they've shared with us as cultural exchange. And they create fictional narratives about overcoming impossible odds. About fighting enemies stronger than themselves. About never giving up even when facing certain death. These themes appear constantly in their art, their literature, their music. It's not propaganda. It's how they see themselves. As survivors," Torrin said. "As warriors who prefer not to fight," Breck corrected. "There's a difference. They've clearly developed beyond simple aggression, but the capacity remains. It's written into their culture, into their language. They have hundreds of idioms about perseverance and struggle." Khan brought up another chart. "There's more. We've detected other vessels approaching hegemony space, sovereignty warships. 3 of them. They've also analyzed the Wanderer. They want the humans, friends said. They want to control them, or eliminate them before they become a factor in galactic politics. The room erupted in argument. Some advocated warning the humans. Others suggested letting the sovereignty handle the situation. A few extremists proposed quarantine protocols that would trap the Wanderer in empty space indefinitely. Khan waited for the noise to die down. Then he played one more clip. Anne, the young human crew member, showing pictures of her dog to Ambassador Lyra. The genuine warmth in her voice as she talked about the predator she kept in her home, the complete absence of fear or aggression. They domesticated pack hunters, Khan said. They took apex predators and turned them into companions. They did this while they were still developing tools. While they were still vulnerable, they didn't kill the wolves. They made them family. He looked around the room. The sovereignty sees potential weapons or potential threats. They're going to approach with hostility, and they're going to learn what happens when you threaten something that survived a death world by becoming the most dangerous thing on it. You think the humans will fight? Vren said. I think the humans would prefer not to, but I also think they won't hesitate if they have no choice, and I think we should make sure we're not standing in the crossfire when that happens. 3 days later, sovereignty warships reached the Wanderer's position. They sent a single demand for surrender. Reed Davis sent a request for diplomatic discussion. The sovereignty responded with weapons fire. The hegemony watched, waiting to see what monsters from a death world looked like when someone finally pushed them too far. The first plasma bolt struck the Wanderer's forward section with enough energy to vaporize standard military armor. Sovereignty. Commander Reth watched his tactical display, waiting for the explosion. The human ship's shields flared bright blue, then faded. The hull underneath showed a scorch mark. Just a scorch mark. Fire again, Reth ordered. Full spread. All 3 sovereignty warships opened fire. Plasma cannons. Kinetic penetrators. Electromagnetic pulse weapons designed to fry electronics. The barrage lit up space like a new star. Inside the Wanderer, Reed Davis gripped his command chair as the ship shook. Damage reports flooded in. None critical. The hull was holding. They're not listening to our hail, his communications officer reported. Keep trying. Tell them we don't want to fight. Another barrage. This one focused on the Wanderer's engine section. The ship lurched. Warning lights flashed red across every station. Reed's jaw tightened. He'd hoped it wouldn't come to this. They'd traveled so far, met so many new faces, and now someone was trying to kill them without even talking first. Prepare the Marines, he said quietly. Hard suit deployment. Rules of engagement are defensive only. Disable their weapon systems but minimize casualties. His first officer nodded and activated the internal comm. All hands condition red. Marines to deployment bay. This is not a drill. In the lower decks, 8 humans moved with practiced efficiency. They'd trained for this scenario. Hoped they'd never need it. But Earth had taught their ancestors a hard lesson. Hope for peace but prepare for war. The suits they climbed into were called hard suits for good reason. Powered armor that amplified human strength even further. Sealed systems that could survive vacuum. Built-in weapons that were designed for ship-to-ship combat. The squad leader, a woman named Ruth, checked her team. Remember, these people might not know what they're dealing with. We're not here to kill. We're here to stop them before they kill us. Understood? 7 voices confirmed. Another impact rocked the ship. The hull was holding but wouldn't forever. Reed had to make a choice he'd prayed he'd never face. Launch boarding pods. The Wanderer's sides opened. 8 small craft shot out, each carrying a single Marine in hard suit. They moved too fast for point defense systems to track. In seconds, they'd attached to the Sovereignty flagship's hull. Cutting torches flared. The Marines burned through reinforced plating like it was paper. Reth watched in horror as his sensors detected breaches. Seal those sections. Get security teams there now. The first Marine through was Ruth. She landed in a cargo bay that happened to be occupied. 20 Sovereignty soldiers raised weapons. She moved. The hard suit turned human speed into something beyond what the soldiers could process. Ruth crossed the space between herself and the nearest soldier in less than a second. Her armored hand grabbed his weapon and crushed it. Not broke it. Crushed it into scrap metal. The soldier stared at her in shock. Drop your weapons, Ruth said through her suit's external speakers. We don't want to hurt you. They opened fire instead. The bullets and plasma bolts bounced off her armor. Ruth sighed and started systematically disarming them. She moved through the soldiers like wind through grass, gentle enough not to cause serious injury, fast enough that they couldn't coordinate a response. In 4 minutes, 20 soldiers lay on the floor, bruised, terrified, alive. Section secured, Ruth reported. No fatalities. Moving to weapons control. Similar scenes played out across the flagship. The Marines moved through the ship like spirits. They didn't kill. They didn't even seem to try very hard. They just disabled weapons, locked doors, and moved on. Reth watched his ship fall apart around him. Every security team he sent got neutralized. Every sealed door got opened. The humans were everywhere and nowhere. Then one appeared on his bridge. The Marine's armor was scorched from weapons fire. Her helmet retracted, showing a human face, female, young. She looked tired. "Commander Reth," Ruth said. "I'm Sergeant Ruth Chen of the Wanderer. I'm asking you to stand down before anyone else gets hurt." Reth's command staff had weapons drawn. Ruth raised her empty hands. "You're invading my ship," Reth managed. "You attacked us without provocation. We defended ourselves. But we don't want to fight. Please, just stop. You're outnumbered 1,000 to 1 on this ship." Ruth looked sad. "Commander, I've disabled 53 of your crew getting here. I haven't killed any of them. Do you really want to see what happens if we stop being careful?" Reth understood then. These humans were holding back. The gentle way they'd been disarming his crew wasn't lack of capability. It was restraint. "What do you want?" he asked. "To talk. To explain that we're not your enemy. To go home without anyone dying today." Reth's tactical officer leaned close. "Commander, the other ships are reporting the same situation. The humans have taken control of critical systems on all 3 vessels. They could destroy us from the inside. But they hadn't." Ruth stood there, hands raised, asking for peace while having the power to end them all. "Stand down," Reth ordered. "All ships cease fire." The fighting stopped. Ruth's helmet closed and she began coordinating her team's withdrawal. But before she left the bridge, she turned back. "I'm sorry it came to this. We really did come in peace." An hour later, Reed Davis broadcast on all frequencies. Every ship in the region heard him. "The hegemony. The sovereignty. Anyone who is watching. This is Captain Reed Davis of Earth. We traveled light years hoping to find friends among the stars. We still hope that what happened today was self-defense. We took no lives. We caused no permanent harm. But we will not be victims. We will not let anyone hurt us or our crew. We're offering our hand in friendship, but we're not offering it from our knees. If you want to talk, we're ready. If you want to fight, we'll defend ourselves. The choice is yours." The message ended. Space fell silent. The galaxy had just learned that humans meant what they said. All of it. Sanctum's council chamber had stood for 3,000 years. It had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, the signing of treaties that reshaped the galaxy, declarations of war that consumed entire star systems. Nothing had prepared it for this moment. Reed Davis stood at the center of the circular room, surrounded by representatives from 100 worlds. He wore a simple uniform. No weapons, no guards. Just one human facing the combined leadership of the hegemony. High Commander Vren spoke first. Her voice carried the weight of authority built over 40 years of service. "Captain Davis, your actions against the sovereignty have been noted. You defended yourself. You showed remarkable restraint. But you also demonstrated capabilities that concern us greatly." "I understand," Reed said. "We didn't want to fight. But we won't let anyone hurt our crew." "That's precisely what concerns us." Counselor Gren leaned forward. He represented the military faction, the ones who saw threats in every shadow. "You claim to come in peace. Yet you possess technology superior to ours, biological advantages we can barely comprehend, and a capacity for violence you've only hinted at. We do come in peace. Then what do you want?" Gren's scales flushed dark red. "Territory? Resources. Why are you really here?" Reed was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. "We were alone for so long. Centuries of looking at the stars and wondering if anyone else was out there. We sent signals into the void. We built ships. We pushed further and further into space, hoping. And we found nothing. Empty worlds. Dead civilizations. Ruins of species that had come and gone." He looked around the chamber. "Then we picked up your signals. We heard your languages. We knew we weren't alone anymore. Do you have any idea what that means? To know you're not the only ones? That's why we came. We came to meet you, to learn from you, to maybe finally have friends among the stars. Ambassador Lyra, seated among the council members, felt her breath catch. The human's words were simple, honest, and heartbreaking in their sincerity. You want nothing else? Vren asked carefully. We'd like to trade, if that's acceptable. Share knowledge, maybe establish some colonies on worlds you're not using. We're good at surviving harsh environments. Reed smiled slightly. Apparently that's unusual. What about military alliance? Another counselor asked. Would you fight alongside us? Against who? Any threats to the hegemony? Reed considered this. We'd help defend our friends, yes, but we're not interested in conquest. We've done that before on Earth. It never ended well. Gren stood abruptly. You're asking us to believe you're powerful but peaceful, dangerous but friendly, that you want nothing but companionship. It's too convenient. I understand your suspicion, Reed said. We'd be suspicious too, but I can't prove our intentions with words, only with time and actions. Time you'll spend growing stronger in our space, or time we'll spend helping you. Reed pulled up a holographic display. These are frontier worlds on your territory borders. Class X deathworlds by your classification. You can't colonize them, can't even maintain research stations, but we can live there. We could establish colonies, create buffer zones, provide early warning if anyone hostile approaches. The council chamber erupted in argument. Some saw opportunity. Others saw elaborate strategy. The debate raged for hours. Finally, Vren called for silence. Captain Davis, you'll forgive our caution. In 10,000 years, the hegemony has seen many species rise and fall. Power corrupts. Strength leads to domination. Why should humans be different? Reed thought about his answer carefully. Because Earth taught us something important. We learned it the hard way, over thousands of years. Power without compassion is just cruelty. Strength without wisdom is just destruction. We survived our world because we learned to work together, to protect each other, to be kind even when kindness seemed weak. He gestured to the display showing Earth. Our planet tried to kill us every day. Storms, predators, disease. We could have become monsters. Some of us did for a while, but we chose something else. We chose to be better than our circumstances. To build instead of destroy, to help instead of harm. Pretty words, Gren muttered. Then test us, Reed said simply. Give us a chance to prove ourselves. Let us settle a few frontier worlds. Trade with us, watch us. If we're lying, you'll know. If we're honest, you'll have allies who can survive anywhere and who'll stand beside you when things get difficult. The council voted. The decision wasn't unanimous, but it was clear. The hegemony would accept humanity's offer. Cautiously, carefully, with extensive monitoring and strict conditions, but they would accept it. 6 months later, Admiral Torin updated his personal log. He'd made this practice a habit since the humans arrived. Historical record, he told himself. Someone needed to document this. Human colonies are thriving on worlds we classified as uninhabitable. They've established settlements on 3 frontier worlds. Each colony reports regular check-ins and has provided early warning of 2 separate pirate incursions. The humans drove off both attacks before we could respond. He paused, organizing his thoughts. Human merchants now trade regularly throughout hegemony space. Their earth spices are in high demand. Apparently what's toxic to us makes excellent medicine when properly processed. We're still figuring out the details. Another pause. Human soldiers serve alongside our forces on border patrols. They volunteer for the most dangerous assignments. They take point in hostile environments, and they've saved 17 hegemony lives in the past month alone. They call it duty. We call it courage. Torin looked at an image on his display. Reed Davis and Ambassador Lyra sharing a meal on Sanctum. Both of them laughing at something. Real friendship growing between species separated by everything except their willingness to try. The humans call it human spirit. That drive to survive, to help, to reach out even when afraid. We call it terrifying because we've never seen anything like it. But they also call us friends. And in the end, we call ourselves lucky. Because the galaxy is a better place with them in it. He saved the log. Outside his window, stars shined. And among them somewhere, humans lived and worked and dreamed. Not alone anymore, never alone again.